Dawn of disaster. The Packing Debacle. It was 5 a.m., too early, too bright, too loud. A horn blared. Steve, our designated driver, was already leaning on it, his face a mask of mock impatience behind oversized sunglasses. We piled into the car, a beat-up minivan affectionately nicknamed the Vomit Comet. Why? Its previous life as a party bus for a college fraternity might hold a clue. The back of the van looked like a thrift store exploded. Clothes, camping gear, and enough snacks to feed a small army were crammed into every available space.
Did anyone bring a map?
Asked Sarah, ever the voice of reason. A chorus of "Nope and check your phone," was her answer. This was going to be interesting. We were off. Well, almost. We managed to pull out of the driveway before realizing that Bob, our resident foodie, had packed his entire spice rack.
Gotta have options,
he declared with a mischievous grin. We rolled our eyes. This was going to be a long trip. The Fellowship of the Frayed Nerves introducing the crew. First up, Steve, driver, leader, occasionally sane. His navigational skills were questionable, but his ability to stay calm in a crisis, usually of his own making, was remarkable. Next to him sat Sarah, the planner, organized, practical, and armed with hand sanitizer and a first aid kit. She was our insurance policy against the inevitable chaos. Behind them a war raged. Bob, the aforementioned foodie, was engaged in a fierce battle for legroom with John, our resident tech geek. John, glued to his phone, was convinced he could navigate us to a hidden hot spring, using only a shaky Wi-Fi signal and a constellation of questionable apps. Lost in her own world, headphones firmly in place, was Mary, our artist, free spirit, prone to random bursts of interpretive dance. We wouldn't have her any other way. 5 friends, 1 questionable minivan, 0 chance of turning back. Bring on the adventure. First stop, Flavortown. We think Navigational Nightmares. Our first destination, the Grand Canyon. Or so we thought. Thanks to John's shortcut and Steve's uncanny ability to take every wrong turn, we found ourselves hopelessly lost in rural America. We were surrounded by fields of something. Corn? Wheat? We weren't sure.
Don't worry, my app says there's a town just a few miles ahead with Wi-Fi.
The town, when we finally found it, consisted of a gas station, diner combo, and a population seemingly made up entirely of tumbleweeds and suspicious-looking chickens. The diner's sign read, Betty's Bites, home of the world-famous squirrel burger. We exchanged nervous glances, our stomachs rumbled but not with anticipation.
I'm not sure about this,
Sarah whispered, clutching her hand sanitizer like a lifeline. Bob, ever the adventurous eater, was already at the counter, chatting up Betty, a woman who looked like she could bench press a minivan.
When in Rome, or, a town that rhymes with Rome.
We braced ourselves. Squirrel burger, here we come. Bears, bugs, and bathroom breaks. Adventures in the great outdoors. Our journey began with a mix of excitement and trepidation as we ventured into the wild, armed with nothing but our wits and a questionable sense of direction. We survived Betty's Bites. The squirrel burger, surprisingly, wasn't bad. The diner was a quirky little spot, filled with memorabilia from decades past, and the locals were more than happy to share their stories. Back on the road, the scenery gradually shifted from endless fields to majestic mountains. Each turn brought a new vista, and we couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the natural beauty surrounding us. We were finally on track towards the Grand Canyon. The anticipation was palpable as we drew closer to one of the most iconic landmarks in the world. We celebrated with a rousing rendition of On the Road Again, which quickly devolved into a cacophony of off-key singing and laughter. The camaraderie was infectious, and it felt like nothing could dampen our spirits. Our attempt at a scenic hike ended abruptly when we stumbled upon a sign that read, Warning Bear Country. The realization that we were in bear territory added a thrilling edge to our adventure. Do not feed the wildlife, especially not your friends. The signs were a stark reminder of the delicate balance between humans and nature. We hightailed it back to the van, John tripping over a tree root and landing in a pile of something we didn't want to identify. Our laughter echoed through the forest as we helped him up.
Nature is healing. The fresh air and open spaces were a welcome change from our usual routines,
Mary remarked, snapping a photo of John's predicament. It was moments like these that made the trip unforgettable.
This is going in the scrapbook. Every mishap and memory was being documented for posterity.
We opted for a picnic lunch at a rest stop. The spread was simple but satisfying, and we took our time to enjoy the meal and each other's company. The air was thick with the smell of pine needles and mosquito repellent. It was a quintessential outdoor experience, complete with the buzzing of insects.
Did anyone pack the bug spray? The question hung in the air as we all looked at each other, realizing our collective oversight.
Sarah asked, swatting at a particularly persistent mosquito. Her frustration was evident and we all shared a laugh at our predicament. Of course no one had. It was a classic case of everyone assuming someone else had taken care of it. We were a well-oiled machine of forgetfulness. Despite our lack of preparation, the trip was filled with laughter, adventure, and memories that would last a lifetime. Are we there yet? The soundtrack of our demise? The miles ticked by, punctuated by the steady drone of the engine and the occasional outburst of singing. Each mile marker we passed felt like a small victory, a testament to our endurance and the bond we shared. We had a playlist for every occasion: 80s hair metal for cruising, show tunes for sing-alongs, and, inexplicably, a polka medley that Bob insisted was essential road trip music. Bob's polka party became a running joke, a quirky tradition that we all secretly loved. Our musical tastes may have been eclectic, but our enthusiasm was unmatched. We sang with abandon, our voices blending into a harmonious cacophony that filled the car with life and laughter.
Even I, usually the picture of composure, could be found belting out a surprisingly accurate rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody. It was as if the car transformed into our private concert hall, where we were the stars of the show.
Are we there yet?
John whined from the back seat. It had become his mantra, uttered every 15 minutes like clockwork. His impatience was both amusing and slightly annoying, a reminder of the long road ahead.
We're on a road trip, John. The destination is the journey. Every moment, every laugh, every song is part of the adventure.
John just groaned and went back to scrolling through his phone. The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink, and purple. The changing colors outside mirrored the shifting moods inside the car. We were treated to a breathtaking view of the desert landscape, the vast expanse stretching out before us like something out of a painting. The beauty of the scene was almost surreal, a perfect backdrop for our journey.
Wow.
Mary breathed, her voice filled with awe. We all fell silent for a moment, captivated by the beauty of our surroundings. It was in these quiet moments that we truly appreciated the journey, the shared experiences, and the memories we were creating together. When souvenirs attack tourist traps and other terrors. No road trip is complete without a stop at a cheesy souvenir shop. We found the Motherlode, a roadside emporium called World's Largest Ball of Twine and Taxidermy Extravaganza. Inside, dusty shelves were crammed with everything from shot glasses and snow globes to mounted jackalopes and t-shirts emblazoned with slogans like, "My other car is a chariot and I survived Betty's bites."
Look,
Bob exclaimed, holding up a snow globe filled with what appeared to be a squirrel riding a miniature Grand Canyon.
perfect souvenir.
Sarah shuddered.
I think I'll stick with a postcard.
We left the shop laden with trinkets and tacky gifts. John even purchased a t-shirt that glowed in the dark. It featured an alien spaceship abducting a cow with the words "I believe" emblazoned across the front.
It spoke to me.
He explained, his voice filled with faux solemnity. We just shook our heads and laughed. Friendship, food fights, and flat tires bonding on the road. Road trips are about more than just the destination. They're about the journey, the shared experiences, and the memories made along the way. We had our share of mishaps, of course, like the time Bob accidentally spilled an entire bag of Cheetos down Mary's back during a particularly spirited game of I Spy, or the time we got a flat tire in the middle of nowhere, forcing us to rely on John's surprisingly useful knowledge of YouTube tutorials to change it. But through it all, we laughed, we sang, we told stories, we shared secrets and dreams, we bickered over the radio, argued about the best route to take, and teased each other mercilessly. But at the end of the day, we were there for each other, through thick and thin, flat tires and Cheetos explosions. We learned that friendship, like a good road trip, is about embracing the unexpected, finding humor in the chaos and cherishing the moments, big and small, that make up the journey of life. The grand finale, a hilarious incident to remember. We finally made it to the Grand Canyon. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with unexpected twists and turns, but the moment we arrived, all the fatigue seemed to melt away. After days of driving, detours, and questionable dining choices, we were rewarded with a view that took our breath away. The sight of the canyon was more magnificent than any of us had imagined. The vast expanse of the canyon stretched out before us, a testament to the power of nature and the insignificance of our own fleeting existence. It was a humbling experience, standing on the edge of such grandeur. We stood there for a long moment, awestruck by the sheer magnitude of it all. And then, it happened. A moment that would be etched in our memories forever. In a moment of pure comedic brilliance, or perhaps divine intervention, a gust of wind swept through the canyon, catching Bob's prized possession, his kiss-the-cook apron, and carrying it away like a kite on a collision course with the abyss. It was as if the canyon itself had decided to play a prank on us. We watched in stunned silence as the apron, a symbol of Bob's culinary aspirations, danced precariously on the edge of the canyon before disappearing from sight. It was a surreal moment, almost like watching a scene from a movie. The silence was shattered by Mary's laughter. Her infectious giggles quickly spread through the group. Soon we were all in hysterics, tears streaming down our faces. The absurdity of the situation was too much to handle. Even Bob couldn't help but laugh. Despite the loss of his beloved apron, the moment had brought us all closer together.
Well, I guess that's one way to get rid of an old apron. It was a day we would never forget, filled with laughter, camaraderie, and the beauty of the Grand Canyon.
Join the adventure. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Want to see the Kiss the Cook incident unfold in all its glory? Curious about what other misadventures we got up to on our epic road trip? Then head over to our YouTube channel, The Misfit Explorers, and subscribe for weekly doses of laughter, adventure, and questionable travel tips. We promise you won't regret it. From squirrel burgers to runaway aprons, our road trip was an unforgettable experience filled with laughter, friendship, and enough hilarious moments to last a lifetime. We can't wait to share it all with you. See you on YouTube.